Well, good morning and welcome back to another lovely week on my allotment. We're in the Hungry Gap now. April, May is traditionally the Hungry Gap. But I'm very pleased with the way things are going on the plot. I've been busy bringing things that I grow in the greenhouse. This soil, it's wonderful soil. It's an organic farm that surrounds us. But it's very heavy, and I have found through experience that I can't get seedlings to start off in the soil, and so I grow everything, and I mean everything, at home, in the greenhouse, in seed trays, in pre-bought seed compost, and then slowly, depending on the crop, it makes its way up here, and when it's good and ready, hardened off, I've learned that the hard way, and of a sufficient size to be able to cope, it goes out in the ground and then it can grow away. I have to be careful with the brassicas because I've got clubroot on this site. Everything I grow in the way of brassicas is clubroot resistant, and I've had 100% success with them. I do, despite them being clubroot resistant, when they go in the planting hole, I scatter a liberal amount of garden lime in the hole, and I've found that works for me. So in the ground now, there's an awful lot of stuff. I've got all my first or second early potatoes in, and they're starting to show through the ground. I've got some beetroot in, almost all, 3/4 of my peas or pea alderman are in, and the rest are in the greenhouse at home, growing on. I've got some New Zealand spinach or perpetual spinach that's just about ready to go in the ground. Lots of onions. The onions I've grown from seed seem to be doing well, and a rather unkept lot here that haven't gone in individual pots. I'm going to stick in the ground and they can crack on their own. But the seeds I've grown, the onions I've grown from seed so far have been successful. So I'm very pleased with that. So today really is about hoeing, weeding, still watering. We still haven't had rain for well over 2 or 3 weeks now. I can't remember the last time it rained, to be honest. So I am using a lot of water, and it's still only the spring. But yeah, very happy with the way things are going, and I've got some specific jobs to do today, and I'll show you those now. So a few specific jobs I'm doing today, and this one I picked up from Cliff at Castle Hill Gardens. I went to the garden centre yesterday for a little mooch around, like you do, and I picked up some fish blood and bone, or as I like to call it, blood, sweat and tears. And that's going to be spread in a reasonable amount around my strawberries, and I shall just rake it, agitate it into the soil, and I'm going to water them. And the strawberries are looking quite healthy. They've got a lot of flowers on them, and that blood, sweat and tears will just give them a little lift as they move towards fruiting. So that's one job I've got to do. That'll take a little bit of time. Another, it's not really a job, but as I said, I was in the garden centre and I went through the vegetables. I don't buy vegetable plants. I sow my own, and I try to keep some of my seeds. But I've never seen these before. Edamame beans, I don't blimmin' know. Anyway, we eat them. We eat them in our salads. We like them. They have to be cooked. You can't eat them raw like you can most beans. But they had a few strips of these, so I picked up a strip, and I potted them on as soon as I got home, and it's made a tray, and I'm going to grow these. The problem is I don't know how to grow them. How tall do they grow? There's no information on the little label that was with them. How tall do they grow? Do you grow them like runner beans, or do they just grow like broad beans, 2 or 3 feet high? I have no idea. So if you know, could you leave me a comment, because I'm clueless. You may have worked that out by now. Another job I'm going to do is I've got a few more main crop potatoes that haven't gone in pots yet. So if you're a subscriber and you've watched my channel for a while, you know I've got a hot bin compost at home, which 2 years on, I think, is still superb, and it's producing wonderful compost, and it does produce it very quickly. And I've got some, you know, it's not going to win any awards, it doesn't look particularly attractive, but that is going to go in the bottom of my 30-litre pots, and then I'll put my potatoes in, and so they'll get some goodness out of that. So I've got to do that today, and I've got about 5 or 6 pots left. And then it's the usual thing. I wander around my plot, clueless and aimless, and when I see a job that needs doing, I just do it. I don't really have a strategy. Some people, you know, like Cliff at Castle Hill, he knows what he's doing, he knows when he's doing it, and he prepares, and so on and so forth. I sort of, I don't have a structured approach. Anyway, whatever my approach, welcome along. You're very welcome. I think what I'll do first is we'll have a wander around the plot and I'll show you what's going on. Please excuse me, I'm not tech savvy. I don't have one of these clever microphones. You know, I haven't. So we'll try the best we can with this rather stiff breeze blowing. Well, starting out the back of my plot, that's a raspberry plant, by the way. Really successful, crops beautifully. I've lifted the table up onto the bench because I'm going to cut the grass today. But this is what I wanted to show you. These are my 4 tubs. Last year they grew carrots very successfully. This year they're growing my parsnips. And these parsnips were chitted in the airing cupboard at home. And then I showed you on a previous video how I plant the chitted parsnip seeds. And it's been very successful. They're mostly up. Well, all the ones that are viable are up. There's a few weed seeds in there which sort of rather spoils the pattern, but once they move beyond their seed leaves and I get true parsnip leaves, then I will be confident enough that the rest are weeds and I shall pick them out. And in the airing cupboard at home I have a second sowing of chitting going on, so that if there are gaps I'll have some backups. Always have a plan B. The pond is looking lovely, and you know, there's a few weeds and docks and quite a lot of nettles, but this is the sort of part of the allotment that I allow to do its own thing, and I know that things like ladybirds lay their eggs on nettles, and nettles have their uses, not least of all nettle tea, so I let them grow here and let it do its own thing. But it's been a picture through the spring, and it is so now, and the marsh marigolds are just starting to open. They are a fleeting splash of yellow, but I love the anticipation of them coming out. I think the pond has a leak. It's a very slow leak, but I have to keep topping it up every time I'm here. And round at my 2 homemade cold frames, I've got marigolds, calendulas, more of the same. There's 3 broccoli plants there that my friend John gave me. He had them excess to requirement, and I may be able to find a gap to put them in. They are the club root resistant ones. He grows them as well as me, so they will grow on my site. And then there's 3 courgette plants. I shall only need 2 of them, but again, in fact, sorry, there's 4 of them there. I shall only need 2, but always have a backup, as I say. And here's the kiwi plant I said, and you may be able to see there are a few dead leaves on it from where it got hit by a frost, but it's regrown and it's looking really quite healthy. Here I've got some more of those onions from seed. They are multi-sown spring onions, and these are leeks, and they're just sitting up here waiting to get a decent growth on them before I find a spot for them in the ground. More marigolds. My first sown leeks, they were sown on the 21st of February. Won't be long till they go in the ground. My blueberry plants I bought last year or the year before. This is a plant I found growing in a country road on the estate I work on, and in the autumn when I saw it, it was a vivid red. The leaves were stunning, and it was on the road, so I dug it out and I brought it up here. I have no idea what it is, but I've just stuck it in there and it's survived the winter and it's looking healthy. So I'm really pleased with that, and I think I'll transplant that around the pond area, but I have no idea what it is. Radishes. I did have a row of multi-sown spring onions, but they were eaten, you know, they just sort of disappeared. There's a couple left. And oddly, in the spring onion seedlings was a single lettuce seed. So I've stuck it in there and it can do what it does. So, to the rest of the plot. I have to say, my favourite thing on the plot at the moment isn't fruits and vegetables. It's these tulips, Pretty Woman. They are, without doubt, the most stunning tulip I've ever grown. And I just think they're enhanced by the green of the shed. Absolutely lovely. Gooseberries are looking good. There's my beetroot, boltardy. It's the only one I grow now. And then again, I made another little cold frame here with just some excess seeds. That's where my perpetual spinach is at the moment. And this is a bed of 1 row of kestrel and 2 rows of Charlotte. And they're taking a while to show their heads. And I don't really want to touch the weeds, which are prolific, until I've got the established rows, and then I'll earth them up. But anyway. Broad beans are looking good. Taken a bit of a bashing with the winds lately, but they're standing strong. They've got canes against each one. The asparagus I'm having mixed success with, but it's a long-term project. Obviously these are the 2 bays of strawberry plants, and they're looking good. Blackcurrant bushes, absolute stalwarts of the plot. And here's, that's the spinach I was talking about, perpetual spinach. Some more clubroot resistant cauliflower, and then some sweet peas, just to have something pretty on the plot. Overwintered garlic, looks good. And then our favourite vegetable, pea alderman. And when they're finished, they will be higher than these 2 pieces of Harris fencing. Another 2 rows of kestrel second early potatoes, and you can see, oddly, I'm not getting much here. I don't know whether they've been eaten, I don't know, but I'm trying to be patient. Here's the better of the 2 blackberry bushes that's really starting to put in some effort now. And then all my brassicas have to be grown under netting, otherwise they're just eaten and they're gone overnight. So that is, what is that? That's red and green cabbages. And then this one down here is calabrese and cauliflower. And then this one here is the Brussels sprouts. More onions. Tulips. And these are the onions grown from seed. And they do look a bit pathetic at the moment. But because they're growing at a different rate to the sets, hopefully they'll mature at a different time, which will be quite handy. The 2 roses that I brought from the garden at home are doing rather well. Again, one is doing better than the other, and I'm just starting to wind it around these posts. But, that's coming on well. Oh, these are the tubs that I've got to put the potatoes in today. And then to the bottom half of the plot. Still, these are all sown with carrots. Still waiting to see if any of them stick their heads up. I'm not having much success this year with germination with carrots. I need to work on that, and I might have to re-sow again. There's some strawberry plants that I had in excess. I've put them under that cloche, and I'm hoping to get an earlier crop. More onion sets, and then there's nothing in here yet. but I suspect that that will be pumpkins or butternuts. And again, there's that area that I've covered over. Bridget gave me some more membrane, which was much sturdier, better stuff. So it's well and truly covered now, and that's again a long-term project, because it's not been rented out. It's just spare ground, and it just grows weed seeds prolifically. This is a Josterberry, and it's fantastic, and in there somewhere is a blackberry, which I tend to train along this trellis. So as we speak, that is my plot today. Very happy with it. It looks stunning, but more importantly, it's productive. I also did say that I'd show you some clips of us walking on Exmoor. So let's cut away now to the beautiful national park of Exmoor. Welcome to Exmoor and the campsite at Dulverton, where we're pitched, and that blue van over there is our daughter and son-in-law.
That's it.
Don't let me go.
Let's get tested.
Oi. This is your first real test as a husband. Don't let me fall.
Spin your feet.
Whore.
Stand up straight. Stand up straight.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Whoa, you're 4 feet up.
Oh, you wait. You get up here.
Now you know what it's like for Carl up there. Charlotte?
Where'd you come? Stay there. Just.
You can't say anything. Oh, the wind's getting up.
Yeah, I thought I could smell something.
Oh, I don't like it. No, I really don't like it.
Dunkery Beacon, the highest spot on Exmoor. Across the Bristol Channel is the southern coast of Wales. Down there is the village of Porlock. Beautiful.
Got a pair in the bag and everything.
Yeah, put your hands on it too close. Yeah, so it'd be lovely. Yeah, it'd be really nice.
Tar steps, an ancient clapper bridge. Well, the pile of chippings is diminishing, but on the site we have had a rather substantial delivery of cow muck. To me this looks like bedding. It's been here a few days and it's still steaming away happily, but it's really good stuff. I mean, I wouldn't put this anywhere near my crops, but I am putting layers of it like a lasagna into my compost bins. So next year, when it's rotted down, this will provide some real goodness on the beds, and I will be top dressing it rather than digging it in as I have in the past. But yeah, fantastic. A good couple of lorry fulls there. Well, I'm very pleased with that. So that's some blood, fish and bone spread around the strawberries. I've hoed and raked it in, and then I've given it a really good soak using that wonderful Bosch submersible pump. Fantastic. Good job done. Well, I hope you'll bear with me if I give you a quick update on my friend Brian. I've never met Brian, but we're in touch with each other through this channel and Instagram. And for those of you who subscribe, you will know, but he's recently started on a health journey. He's given up all animal products. He's gone whole food, plant-based, and I think it's 1.5 stone he's lost now, and he's reversed and cured his asthma. Despite his doctor trying to update his medication, he's got in touch with the doctor and said, don't need to, I've cured it. And of course the doctor didn't get in touch. You think the doctor would want to know how you do that, being a medical man. But anyway, when he started on this, his wife and son made it clear that they didn't want to do it and they didn't want him preaching to them. So he promised not to preach to them. But I'm pleased to say that they've observed his improvement in health, and they're coming around to his way of thinking. So he tells me now that they're reducing their intake of dairy, and they have now gone meat-free. And I can assure Brian's wife and son that they too will reap the benefits of giving up anything that comes from an animal. There are side effects, and I have told you about the side effects before. The side effects are losing weight and a massive increase in your health. So good luck with those side effects. It's really humbling for me because I think I was the trigger when, talking as I do about health. And I always say, don't believe me, never believe anything anybody tells you, do your own research. Well, Brian did that, and he's now on his own journey, and I wish him all the very best with it. And I'm thrilled and grateful that he keeps me updated in the way he does. But one of the things that his wife and son said is, please don't preach to us. And I know on this channel I try and avoid sounding like I'm preaching and ranting. Honestly, I do try. But the thing is, it's such a message. I've watched, a lot of my customers, being a self-employed gardener, are elderly, and the myriad of health problems they have. Some of them are at the doctor's surgery on a weekly basis, and their health never improves. They just get more pharmaceutical products. So I've seen both sides of this. I had a customer who had psoriasis, and he showed me the psoriasis. He had it really bad on his back, and his back was dry and it was brutal. It's like someone had taken a flame gun to his back, and where it cracked, it bled. I won't go into details, but it was truly horrific. And he'd been suffering for it most of his adult life, suffering with it most of his adult life. And I said, well, you know, you need to change your doctor. He says, oh no, I've got an excellent doctor, I really trust him. And you know, that's something unique to the health industry, is that if you had a plumber that you'd been employing for 15 years and he'd never cured a dripping tap, you'd get rid of him. If you had a builder that you know, 15 years putting up an extension, you'd get rid of him and get another one. Any other walk of life where the professional you were employing wasn't doing what they're supposed to, i.e. giving you good health, you'd change it. But no, doctors get a pass every time. And anyway, long story short, eventually this guy uniquely died from loss of blood at home at night when his back cracked and he bled out in his bedroom. It's a really tragic case. And I said to him at some point, I says, you know, that there are things you can do. You could try going whole food, plant-based, giving up meat and dairy. Psoriasis is, you know, I mean, I don't know a great deal about it, but from what I've read, it has an awful lot to do with the digestive system. You know, and all his doctor was doing was giving him creams. Well, you know, another thing, treat the symptom, not the root cause. Anyway, unfortunately, the man is now dead. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got people like Brian who take responsibility for their own health and take action. That's the key. Take action. Do something positive. If you say to anybody you meet, friend or stranger, is your health important to you? I guarantee every single one of them will say yes. And then when you ask them, well, what do you actually do about it? You know, can you imagine what would happen if the whole of Great Britain gave up meat and dairy overnight? What would happen? Well, forget about the collapse of the meat and dairy industry. I don't care about that. Just like I don't care about the collapse of the tobacco companies. What would happen is, we know what would happen. We've got the Nazis to thank for that. And when I say that, in 1941, Germany invaded Norway. And almost overnight, the first thing the Germans did was they took all livestock off the Norwegian population to feed their troops. And within weeks, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, all of these food-related diseases dropped off a cliff. Immediately, the whole population. So we know what would happen, and we've known for decades. Anyway, I think it's an interesting subject. It certainly fascinates me, and I won't preach anymore. But in my next video, I will tell you why type 2 diabetes can be gone within a month, easily, and you do it yourself. Sometimes that's the problem. You know, when you go to the doctor, you can carry on with all your bad habits, but he gives you a pill, and you just take the pill with a cup of tea or something. Job done. Don't have to do anything. It's nice and easy. Doesn't solve anything, but it makes you feel better about, oh, I'm doing something. When you have to do what Brian's done, you have to take action, you have to take responsibility, and it involves a certain amount of willpower and work. I mean, he's reaping wonderful rewards, but he's having to do it himself, and that's the problem. You've got to actually do something. Anyway, I won't go on, but I find it interesting. I actually find it incredibly fascinating, and I'll tell you a little bit more about type 2 diabetes in the next video, I think. I think what we need here is some humour. So, without further ado, some quite interesting facts from the quite interesting book. French people are 19 times less likely to wait for the green man than Japanese people. They're a rebellious lot, the French, aren't they? Hitchhikers in Sweden wait longest for a ride. Those in Iraq wait shortest. According to research by North Korea, the world's second happiest country is North Korea. You will be happy. The demilitarised zone between North and South Korea is home to 5,097 different species. It's a bit like the lockdown thing, isn't it? When human beings all went indoors, which is where you catch COVID. Nature thrived. All we've got to do is get rid of humans. Insects make up 72% of all animals, but only 2% of endangered species. Until the 19th century, Primrose Hill in London was inhabited by wolves. Until the 19th century. New York City controls its rat problem by giving them the menopause. So effectively that stops them breeding. In 1902, after the French colonial government in Hanoi offered 1 cent for every rat's tail, enterprising Vietnamese started rat farms to earn the bounty. That is so true of life, isn't it? That these really clever academic politicians have an idea and a strategy, and almost always the strategy doesn't work and it has the exact opposite effect. Because people work their way around it. So what they were trying to do was reduce the rat population. What their strategy actually did was increase it. Exactly the opposite of what they wanted. You'd think they could work that out, wouldn't you? Anyway, quite interesting. Right, well, I'm done. I'm done in and I'm done. I've had a really good day, really productive. You know, some days you come up and you think, what on earth did I do? I don't seem to have achieved anything. But I feel today that I've managed to get all over the plot and do something good wherever I've gone. One of the barrels was starting to tip, and of course they're all full of water at the moment. So I had to empty it, so I used it watering the beds. I've watered all my fruit, all my soft fruit has been drenched. And I emptied that barrel, and then I've had to dismantle some of the fence and get in there underneath it and pack it. So that was a job that needed doing. I didn't want that to tip. Yeah, so I've done a lot of watering. I mean, it's only April. I mean, I don't know what happened to April showers, but we haven't seen any. Again, I know what will happen. When it comes, it will come and it won't stop. But for now, I'm enjoying the nice weather, but we will need some rain soon. yeah, I've put all my potatoes in now. Some of the Sarpo Mira potatoes didn't go in the tubs. I had half a dozen left over, and I've made another row of those down on the bottom end. The rhubarb was starting to flop, where we haven't had rain for 2 or 3 weeks, so I've given that a good drink. I've done a lot of weeding, a lot of hoeing. Yeah, very productive. I can't go through everything I've done because I can't remember. I've cut the grass all around my plot. So yeah, very productive. And the allotment is starting to green up. I've said before that through the winter months it's a very brown site with all the wood chippings on the path and the bare soil. Everything's brown. Well, that's changing now, and there are tinges of green all over. There's luscious growth everywhere. When the potatoes come up, they look verdant and green. There's blossom on my 2 fruit trees. All the strawberry plants have got flowers on. It's a wonderful time. This is the best time of the year, I think, April and May, when you've had a long winter that's behind you now, well and truly. I mean, there is still a risk of frost, but it's unlikely, and the plot's looking good. So I hope you found something in this episode to entertain, and I shall be back next weekend. So whatever you're doing with your week, enjoy yourself, be nice to each other if you can, look after yourselves, take care. I shall see you soon. Bye for now.